Good evening, and welcome to the Rowley Board of Selectmen meeting, December 15th, 2014. As a reminder, this meeting is being audio and video recorded digitally. And I call the meeting to order at 7:02. Bill, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Bill. There are no chairman's comments tonight. And citizens' query will open at 7:05 to 7:15. We have 3 appointments tonight, one at 7:15. Michael Sabatini to discuss Historical Commission, Historic District Commission opening. 7:25 is another appointment with Michael Sabatini to discuss invasive species program at the Brad Street property. And 7:30, joint meeting, Board of Water Commissioners to discuss water treatment plant construction, condition of Pingree Farm Road, revenue collections and budgetary matters, and DEP violations. Next order of business would be general business, and it's to set meeting schedule for January, February, and March. We need to set the meeting schedule. The proposed meeting schedule is as follows: January 5, January 12, January 26, February 2nd, February 9th, February 23rd, March 2nd, March 9th, March 16th, March 23rd, and March 30th. Is there any comment or discussion?
We'll give you a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second it.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor of the dates as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Under new business, flea market license application for Nate Conley, 286 Main Street. Okay. The application for this license is complete and all taxes, water, and light bills have been paid. The fire chief, police chief, and Board of Health have signed off on it, and any conditions they have are stated on the attached application. Okay, Nate, one of the things we did pick up on the application itself is that you've indicated operations will be 7 days per week, 24 hours per day.
Yeah, well, that was a mistake. I shouldn't have put that in there. It was just, I wanted to leave myself open to, people getting there early in the morning, like they do typically with the flea market.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's gonna be a weekend thing. I do wanna reserve, the ability to maybe have an event during the week. But it won't be anything irregular to what, goes on there now, so.
Okay.
But we can, I just didn't wanna limit myself, I just wanted to see what you guys thought, and maybe you had some, you know, you wanted to, put in what you guys would like to see, kinda open to that, but I just wanted not to lock myself in just strictly weekends, in case I wanna do something during the weekend.
Right.
That was all.
Okay. Yeah, the zoning board enforcement officer, actually the zoning enforcement officer, who was the building inspector, we may want to run that just by him to make sure, because we are in the outlying district, right?
I believe it is in the outline.
Outlying district.
I'm not
So.
sure what the hours of operation pertain to that.
Right, and we would kind of like to look at that, to have him make a comment on it.
Okay,
Other than that, it is also in the historic district, but I'm not sure that that creates any issues that I'm aware of anyway. So, but it's the overlay, that's an overlay district on the outlying district,
okay,
so.
so who do we need to,
I think we just need to run it by the building inspector, basically.
is that something you want me to do, or are you gonna do that?
We could certainly get this over to.
We can send him a copy of the application
And have him
and just get an opinion from him.
for next week. We can have this, this would be, he would have enough time, I think, this week to.
I would think so, yeah, it shouldn't be.
If the,
I
if
mean,
the
I
board
can,
wishes.
I can always word it differently on the application.
Well, I mean, if we need to make an adjustment to the application, that should be easy to do,
Okay.
yeah, so yeah, I think it's up to the board, I mean, if you guys if you think we should.
Well, can we make a motion? I'd like to make a motion tonight on to give Nate the application, for 286 Main Street. He explained his hours, it isn't gonna be a 24-hour. He's previously been selling a few things out of the shop there, am I right?
The little shop,
Yeah, no problem's been down there. Mr. Todd's here, runs a business across the street, there's two of them. With the decision, I'd like to make the motion that we grant it tonight with the decision from the building inspector.
Make it conditional on the building
Yeah,
inspector.
conditional that, we got the fire chief, we got the police chief,
I did
everything's signed off, so I think we're all right,
I walked the property with Chief Barker,
yeah,
gave him
so,
the whole layout,
you know.
how it's gonna be, and I explained to him that it's mainly a Sunday thing,
Mm-hmm.
but if there would be any other events that I'd like to have there, I would certainly notify him first and the fire department.
Yeah, we appreciate that, just so that they're aware that there is something going on at that location. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, Bill, are there any restrictions on yours, on the operation on the Todd Farm? There's no restricted hours or anything like that on the license?
There's only certain days you can pull the public in.
Only what?
Pull the public in,
Oh,
the
okay.
buyers.
Right.
Yeah, my only other question would be, is this, from the looks of your drawing, it's gonna be, has the potential to be a double the size, or you take the Todd property and yours, it's gonna pretty much double what the flea market does on a
Excuse me,
Saturday.
could you speak up, because I got one bad ear.
Okay, yeah, no, my question is that from the drawing here, it's looking as though it's gonna be, could be a sizable operation in addition to what we already have at Todd Farm, and we often get a lot of complaints about parking, and I know you got parking on the property. I guess my question is, have the neighbors been, has anybody talked to any of the neighbors? This is the first time I've seen
Well,
this
the
tonight.
reason why this has all come about, and this is kind of fallen into my lap, is, there has been parking issues with the flea market.
Right.
And at the beginning, a few years ago, they were all coming and parking on my land. And I'm down there, I'm having them towed. So I said, hey, what a great idea, why don't I just park some cars? Charge a little bit of money, handle the overflow. So I've been doing that. but I got all this other land that's not being utilized. So I'm just trying to make it worth my while being down there Sunday morning. You know, but I don't see potential of, anything different from what's happening there. The main thing is it's gonna flow really nicely. We're gonna have exit signs. You're gonna have a total horseshoe come in and out, and we'll have people that will assist.
Well, you've done a nice job of that piece of property. It looks nice there. It's cleaned out.
Very much.
Field looks good, and I know on Sundays, I think it really has helped out the parking down there immensely, from people that I talked to. I guess my main concern is, are the neighbors aware of this at all, or is this the first time I'm hearing of it anyway, let me put it that way.
I don't think I told Bill directly, but I did talk to Starr about it. He didn't have a problem with it. I got Glenn Gavin next to me, and he thinks what I'm doing is great, and so, you know, it hasn't been an issue. I make sure that I haven't got, you know, when we are bringing cars in there, we make sure that they're not lined up on the street. We get them in there as quick as we can, so there's no traffic issues. I don't know how many vendors I'm gonna have. It might be 4 to begin with. It might be 25, but it could be up to 100. So, that's, you know, I'm just gonna see what happens. I mean, if it takes off, it takes off.
Right.
And, but, you know, and I told, you know, the fire department and chief, if there's any issues, you know, let me know. If I've got to downsize a little bit, you know, I'll work with them. I'm not looking to create a problem. I'm just looking to, you know, get something going down there. You know, pay the taxes for the land.
Okay, we do have a motion.
I'll give you a second.
Okay, what I would like to suggest on the motion is that we have an option.
Could you speak up? Sorry.
What I'd like to suggest is that we have an option to grant the license with conditions or deny. Obviously, the motion is not to deny, but I would like to add with conditions if we feel that we need them, where we are actually approving the license as such. We're only giving it a conditional approval. Once we get the feedback from the zoning board, the zoning enforcement officer, then we can decide whether we want to put conditions on it or not. So I don't know if that's,
Jack, you want to?
Yeah, I would like to, just a comment. I would prefer, I'm not looking to deny the application, but I would like to maybe wait a week. I don't think that's, because it's not a license till January 1st,
right.
which would give us a chance to listen, to hear the building inspector. And I think it's only fair to the neighborhood that if they haven't heard about this, that they at least have the option. We don't have to have a public hearing, but it's just, if there's anybody that feels it's, and I think my guess is we may get some opposition, but I mean, I think it's fair to give the neighbors a chance to at least comment on the proposal. Other than that, looks good as far as I'm concerned, so.
Okay.
I just won't wait, myself, I prefer to wait until next week. I think that there's no need to hurry it up this week. I mean, at least hear from the building inspector and any issues he might have or suggestions.
So,
Well, like I said, Nate's been there, I've been by there. To me, you got 2 other vendors across the street. He's got a nice parking place, they made a nice area, and Glenn Gavin I know, and I had asked him once, I said, how's the traffic system, you know, in and out? There's no problem down there. I mean, I know we'd wait another week, but the thing, I can see that the fire chief looked at it, Nate went over it, if I heard you right, with the police chief, walked the land or something. And, you know, I know Dave's got a point, but there's a motion made and second, and
I made it, so. On a condition, like we said, that Kenny look at it and,
All right,
uh,
I see no problem with this, either way, but, as you said, Jack, you put your condition on,
right,
and Bob's condition?
Well, I mean, we have, it's under the section 3 of the bylaw, this is the town bylaw. The license may be granted with conditions or denied. Now, obviously, we're probably gonna grant it. I mean, there's no reason to deny it at this point unless the zoning enforcement officer comes up with a reason.
that would be the building inspector, Mr. Ward, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
So, I mean, what I'm saying is, rather than vote it tonight, why don't we get our opinion back from the zoning enforcement officer, and then, if we want to put conditions in, as something that was suggested, then we could add that and grant the license, either way. But I just don't wanna, get something out there that's on the table, and then, for some reason, it's something that we haven't seen yet, or realize what's going on with the zoning, that we have to make a change.
well, that was in the motion, the condition of the zoning
I,
building inspector to look at it.
yeah,
He says it's a go, we made the motion tonight, sends us a letter back, and it's over. I mean, we're just gonna prolong it again to next week. I think with him reviewing what's going on down there, my own opinion, it's all right with me.
I don't see a problem waiting a week, because it doesn't take effect until January 1st.
No, I know that.
And we just run it by, and, everything seems to be okay, except for, let's run it by the building inspector. It's not gonna take another week, and then it goes into effect as of the 1st of January, so.
Okay. So we do have a motion on the floor, and a second. All those in favor of the motion is presented?
Oh, wait a
Wait a
minute.
minute. Okay.
What are we gonna do? We're gonna wait a week, or are we gonna?
Well, it depends how the vote goes, I guess, at this point.
It's already been a motion.
Yeah.
And you second. If it was only me and it didn't go and we voted down, we wait a week.
I hate that. If we vote it and we vote it down, then I would much rather take it off the table and then wait a week.
I
Do it that
I would
way.
have to agree with you, Bob. I mean,
Yeah, because if we put it out there and if it gets voted down, then
Then it doesn't look good for you guys.
it doesn't look good. I don't wanna do
So-
that. So I would take my second, can I take my second off the table?
You certainly can.
All right. And then let's wait a week, and we could, and everything seems to be in order here. Just run it by the building inspector, and we'll go from there.
I believe my phone number's on there if the building inspector needs to talk to me directly. I'm more than happy to talk.
Okay, I'll take my,
Okay?
motion off then.
Yeah, I think we're just trying to be fair to everybody, the neighbors and the building inspector, and plus, if we wanna put any conditions, I think it gives us a little time to think about it.
Well, my only opinion is, I'm only one board member. They've been running, it isn't a new show opened up down there, a new vendor. They've been there, and they've been doing it, and there's been no problems what I could see or hear or nothing, and I know the neighbors are for it. You got a different opinion, whatever,
No, I'm
I
not-
just
I'm
said
not
my
oppo-
piece,
I'm not
okay.
opposed to it, Jack,
Yeah.
I'm just
No,
saying
no,
that,
no, I
I
got-
think waiting,
Yeah.
if we'd have gotten this application last week sometime and had a chance to look at it and
No, just got it
ask-
tonight.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, to
You
come
know?
in and grant a license
Yeah.
with possibly 100 vendors, probably won't be that many.
No.
But it's just, to me, it's just like, if we can get an opinion from the building inspector, that's fair. And if there, any neighbors that wanna come in next week and make an opinion, they can. And I don't think there's any reason why we're gonna deny it, it's just a matter of making sure that it fits in and is done, and, the hours are proper, and,
My gut feeling is it's attracting business
yeah,
on Sunday mornings, and I think it's
probably be good for everybody.
it's good, it will be good for everybody. I think we'll run it by the building inspector, everything's fine, no problem.
Okay, table for
I
a
think-
week then.
The table for a week, I think it's, again, I think it's gonna be good on Sunday morning, it's another business down there, and well, let's see what the building inspector says.
So you guys will have it on the agenda for next week, Monday.
Sure.
Yep.
All right, I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
Citizen query on, Bob.
Yeah, citizens query is on and gone by, so citizen query is over. at this
Punch
point.
all the way there.
Now I've lost my agenda.
Good, how are you?
I do that, used to do that all the time.
You know, front. Okay, the time being after 7:15, we have an appointment. And just the next package here. The appointment is at 7:15 with Michael Sabatini to discuss Historical District Commission opening. Mr. Sabatini met with the board last week to discuss his interest in serving on the Historical Commission and the Historic District Commission. Each of these two boards have separate and distinct responsibilities. There is a conflict of interest issue with Mr. Sabatini's appointment to the Historical Commission. The Raleigh Historical Commission is the town's legal entity responsible for the administration, management, and enforcement of the historic preservation restriction on Mr. Sabatini's property at 239 Main Street. This property has architectural, historical, and cultural significance to the town and is listed on the inventory of historic and archaeological assets of the Commonwealth. As we discussed last week, Mr. Sabatini contacted the State Ethics Commission to go over the issues and the required filings. So did you get the applications and things that I know you gave us one last week, but there was a second one that was supposed to be out there?
Want to fill in on that, Debbie? Or should I?
You please do.
23B is a form that's filled out after I am on the board.
Okay,
23B. I sent the town manager the exact letters from the Ethics Committee in Boston. And I quoted several passages for her. I don't know that she forwarded it to you or not.
I would
They
assume
have
that
the
it was.
package. We had the package last week,
That email?
and yes, that was part of it.
Okay,
I
good.
was just, I think that the conflict of interest was defined as the historic preservation restriction, and so that's the narrow issue. And we're dealing with a request to be appointed to two separate distinct boards. So we were just trying to iron down, if it's the historical commission, it's just, that's where the beneficial.
That's where the conflict comes in.
I
It's not
don't,
with the district commission.
the board may determine otherwise. I don't think there's anything, there's any conflict of interest on the historic district commission,
Right,
which is a separate.
yeah, at least at this point.
Separate
That we're
board.
aware of, unless there's something that comes in before the board that he would be involved with.
That's right, and that would happen to anybody on the
Yeah,
historic district commission.
right, right. So, I have dealt with the Ethics Commission myself, Mike.
Okay.
And typically, I find what happens is when you ask a question, you get an answer. That's how the question is asked that the answer is received. So, I would like to suggest possibly that we have town council just run this by, just to make sure that we haven't missed something on us, on our end of the procedure here. So I would ask the board if that would be possible, if they wanted to do that. But,
I think it's wise that we do that, run it by town council.
yeah, I've been thinking about it too, and I think it would help us. That way, we're not gonna wind up with an issue later on down the road if we miss something here. We just wanna make sure we've got all of the proverbial i's dotted and t's crossed. So, what do you think?
long as, if it reasonably, timely, doesn't get dragged on too long, would be nice. I don't know if you can set a time frame for that, as opposed to months.
Well, obviously, we need to talk to town council. It
Right.
depends on their caseload as well as our own caseload at this point. But you got something coming up that you want to take care of right away, or? I mean, the
No,
commission's.
I know the historical, commission and the RHDC, need members.
Well, they seem to have been going along so far, at least. I don't think it's at a panic situation yet. Maybe I'm wrong, but I know you do have some openings. So,
It would be nice if we have members and somebody like Mike who's so enthusiastic, it would be hard to turn him away. But may I ask a question? If town council came in and said that there was, it was not in the best interest of the town to have Mike appointed to the historic commission, could he be appointed separately to the RHDC where he does not have a conflict?
I don't see any reason why he couldn't be,
Okay.
at least from my limited knowledge. I mean, that's another question we could ask town council at the time that we're doing this.
As
but-
we serve on two boards,
Right.
it would be, I think, great to have that option still on the table and not an absolute no.
Right. No, I think it would reasonably, it would be possible, but there again, I'd like to make sure the town council agrees with that. Speaking of the commission, historical commission, I'm assuming you folks meet on a regular basis,
Once a month,
once a month? Okay.
Thursdays, the first Thursday of the month,
And the district commission meets,
the same night. We do a separate agenda.
Okay.
We adjourn the meeting if we have to have a historic commission meeting. But because we have limited, getting that many people together with the different schedules, it's better and more efficient to have the meeting held on the same night.
yeah, no, I can agree to that. Yeah. And you did send a report in to us, I believe.
Yes, I also, I have photographs that I took, but, I can't find the site photos from the first visit because I think Jim, a previous member, Jim Mailhook, took the photos and I haven't had contact with him, but I do have evidence of us being out there, at the site meetings.
Okay.
I went individually with David Jakewith for, he took the photos, for the barn visit, and that was in June of this summer, and then, Mr. Todd did not come, that's a conflict of interest, so, Bobby Shanfarka, myself, and Jim Mailhot went to the first meeting of, site visit, where we toured the house, the exterior and the interior, and I took field notes, from that, review, and I found them
Yeah,
today on the computer.
Thank
yeah.
you, yep. And it's,
Okay.
you did see I think you have those in your packet,
In the
Mr.
packet,
Chairman.
okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
Yeah, I have no problem appointing him to, I'm still confused as to which commission is which. But the one where there's not a conflict, I have no problem appointing,
The district.
see, the
The
district.
Historic District
Appointed
Commission.
tonight, so we're not trying to run you off, for sure.
Appreciate that.
And what I like about the town council, if we get an opinion from her, is she takes the ethics commission and the laws, and we'll get an opinion from her, and she's not gonna recommend whether we appoint you or not, she's gonna point out what the potential conflicts are, so that you'll have hopefully anyway, you will have a clear idea of any potential conflicts and how to conduct yourself. And we, in making the appointment, will also have a clear understanding of what the conflicts are, 'cause this is.
And the
this is a
historical
little bit-
commission too, they'll need some legal assistance too, in case if he is appointed to the historical, we can have that outlined in the appointment. by the selectmen with the conditions, and then they'll keep that on file should anything come up that he would need to recuse himself.
Yeah, I just think it's critical, because if you get somebody in there that disagrees with a decision that that the board makes, and then they start screaming with an issue with Mr. Sabatini, for instance, then if the town council gives us an opinion, then everybody should be assuming that all the rules have been followed. It shouldn't end up becoming an issue, so.
That'd be advantageous to you to have that.
In the letter from Mr. Wilson, and you've got to read it, peel through the legalese, but it does get in there, and it says, when I have to step out of the room, when I have to have a lawyer present on my behalf, when I have to recuse myself from everything, he lays it out there pretty good in the letter that he sent me, which I forwarded it to the town.
Okay. So what's the opinion of the board as far as the district commission?
I think I'm run by our legal, is wise,
Just to make sure.
just to make sure, just,
You're
and-
talking running both of them by then?
Well, I thought we just said the historic district commission, there is no conflict.
There is
No, no, yeah, but yeah.
On the other ones, two
So I'll
different.
make a motion to appoint him to the
Historic
Historic
District.
Commission.
Okay.
I'll second it.
And how long is that appointment for?
Well,
He will
that's,
take a one-year seat. There's a one-year position open that was held by Libby Jones.
So that'll be until June 30th, 2015?
Okay.
Okay, I'll make that
Yeah.
motion.
Second it.
okay, any discussion? Motion made and seconded, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And the second one we'll take under
We're gonna take
advisement and
under
get an opinion, and
advisement.
we'll let you know when the opinion comes in. We'll schedule
Appreciate it.
a meeting and go forward then.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a Merry Christmas.
That was a good gift.
That's a little bit of a gift, half a gift anyway.
Good, I can miss a meeting now.
Have fun on your trip, Sarah. You're going away.
I see it on TV.
Okay, seven,
Okay, Bill, take care.
I'll take care.
we have a 7:25 appointment with Mike Sabatini to discuss invasive species program at the Brad Street property. And you're gonna discuss the program with us, Mike?
Yes.
Mr. Sabatini is here to continue the discussion on the invasive species program at the Brad Street property.
Working out a plan with the Conservation Commission. Working around the pond was not conducive to long-term care. There is not a maintenance program with the conservation, so if I did any work down by the water, having no maintenance program in place, the work that I would do on the water down by the pond would not stand up to the test of time. The compromise was to protect and preserve trees on the edges of the Brad Street farm. Some are inside, 5 of which are inside the designated conservation controlled property. A couple are on the community gardens component, and a couple are on the housing component. There are about 9 trees total. They are covered by invasive species. Invasive species can be buckthorn, it can be poison ivy vines, it can be bittersweet vines. Those are some of the most prevalent in our area and on the farm. I believe it was Mr. Peterson that was out there a few months ago. You can probably see how the the vines, they grow up to trees and they essentially kill the trees. There are several trees that we picked out that are, whether it's apple trees or gray birch or white birch, all older, strong, highly profiled trees that are right on the edges of the Brad Street Farm. And when I use the word Brad Street Farm, it's not just my land, but it's the town's Brad Street Farm component as well. We pick trees that are not only highly visible to people coming onto the property or into the community gardens, but trees that are right on the edges, just so none of these 9 trees are on my land, but essentially they're on the town's land. Because they're on the town's land, the conservation said that I should come before you because I would have to get a general liability policy because technically I'm stepping over my land onto your land and pruning trees, pulling down the vines, the bittersweet, the poison ivy. I actually don't get poison ivy. I can pull it down all day long, and I don't get it on me. So that's a good thing. And so we'll pull down the poison ivy off the apple trees, protect some of the trees that are out there, and care for them while I'm there. And the gist of it is I need to get the tout, since it's something that I'm doing for the town. I have part of the contingency. I have 2 contingencies, and one of them is I have to come before you and tell you that I'm doing it. And this is the board that we used with Mike DeRosa, my engineer, when we presented it to the town, or the Conservation Commission, when they approved it.
Okay. Well, I think, Mike, what we probably want to do is if we grant you the authority to do that, which is what I believe that the Concom was requesting when they asked you to come tell us about it, talk to us about it, get permission from us. We do have the DeRosa report.
Yes.
I think that would be part of an order of conditions. And I would also like to check with the chairman of the Conservation Commission for their order of conditions and incorporate that into it also.
I think that is it.
So, just want to make sure that that's what that's how I understand it, and I want to make sure that I understand it right.
Yes.
Okay. So, is there any other discussion from the board or comments from the board?
Mr. Chairman, in other words, by doing this, this settles the whole pond issue?
Yes.
So you're doing this in lieu of whatever we talked about when I went out there and
Yes.
looked at it, so that this would, 1 and 1 will now equal 2.
Yes, and with the slight exception, I think it's number 2 in there. They want me to take down the diving board that the Bradstreets put up, I don't know, decades ago, I guess.
Right, yeah, there was a diving board up there.
So
So,
I didn't put it there, but they did ask me
Right.
to help out by taking it down. So I think it's
it's
number,
number 4 on here,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, that was my only question last week, Mr. Chairman. I was a little confused as to where, and I wanted to make sure that the original issue of the pond was settled.
Right.
And obviously, this week, Mr. Sabatini says that this is all incorporated into one, so I don't have any problem with it.
Okay.
That is the final draft, or the final package right in front of you.
Very
Is,
good. And when we were out there, those trees were, you had cleaned up, I think, 1 on your property or 2.
yes,
And it was a huge difference in the looks of the property and the trees. So it's something that's needed and, would certainly improve the looks of because those trees are pretty much all in the wide open out there. So if they were all grown up with vines and poison ivy, and
correct.
et cetera, et cetera. So would definitely be an improvement to the environment out there to have Mr. Sabatini take care of those.
Okay. Anything else? All right, I would entertain a motion that we allow Mr. Sabatini to do the work that he is going to do on the invasive species trees that are affected out there on the Bradstreet property on the town's land. With an order of conditions, as per the DeRosa environmental study and the Conservation Commission's input.
Just one quick question
Yeah.
before you take that, is this, so is it, if you fall out of the tree, is that your liability or is that ours?
Mine, so that's the next one I'm gonna lean over
So,
to you
do we
on.
need an indemnification?
Right.
You need to sign off an indemnification.
Right, so
Hold
you-
harmless agreement with the town?
Exactly.
Okay, so I could probably email you one. The Concom uses them all the time. They have organized
Okay.
hikes and walks and things like that, so, but I can have one just emailed to you if you can
Okay.
sign.
Cool. Great.
Okay, so,
Make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
okay,
I'll second that motion.
motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I appreciate
Well, out
it.
of three, not bad.
Don't fall out of the tree, Mike.
Or at least get the trees fixed before you fall
First.
out.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Have a Merry Christmas.
Yes, sir. Have a good day now.
Maybe be in next week, probably, right? Or a couple of weeks.
Okay, our next appointment is at 7:30, and it's a joint meeting with the Board of Water Commissioners to discuss water treatment plant construction, condition of Pingree Farm Road, revenue collections and budgetary matters, and DEP violations.
Gentlemen. Even all right?
Okay, the chairman calls for a motion to open the joint meeting with the Board of Water Commissioners by roll call vote.
A little problem, my pen leaks, that's all. I didn't want Jack to touch it, that's all.
Okay.
I'll give you the motion.
Have a motion?
I'll second the motion.
Motion made and seconded to open the joint meeting with the Board of Water Commissioners by roll call vote.
Aye, Jack Cook.
I Robert Snow.
Aye, Robert Murray.
Hi, Dave Peterson.
I Tim Toohey.
Okay, the joint meeting is open. The Board of Selectmen is concerned with the following items. Water treatment plant construction. Has a final occupancy permit been issued? What items are not complete? Do we have a list of those?
The items that are not complete at this point, it's administrative, a lot of paperwork, the documents for the finalization, the O&M manuals, and final as-built drawings. And with the occupancy permit, when the fire department and the building inspector came out, I asked them to keep the building permit open, the occupancy, because we're doing some other projects that are in addition to the original part of the treatment plant, and rather than having to go through the whole process all over again, I asked them to extend it.
Okay. Any comments from the board?
Yeah, I guess we're still paying Weston and Sampson. What's the whole, where do we stand on that whole, on the, beyond the occupancy permits? How do we stand on that bill? In other words, we're still paying John Sikora and Weston and Sampson to do what?
Construction oversight, we have, the Paul Corporation is here this week doing working on the performance bond for the Paul filters. He's here to oversee that. The transducers that I had mentioned at one of the water board meetings, those have, come in and, have been installed, so he was on site, to oversee those. That happened, I think, last Thursday or Friday, those were put in. His time here in Raleigh is not, was it like in the beginning, he's been here, on Tuesdays mostly, and occasionally on Thursdays, working on just finalizing small items that it's not going to affect us to get the occupancy permit. We could have a full-blown occupancy, but we've asked him to keep it open because we're doing some additional work, like I said, rather than going through and applying for it again. We're in good shape as far as that's concerned. I've been staying on top of it. At this point, I see no reason why we shouldn't be able to comply with the ACO.
So the construction itself is complete, other than a few administrative
Yes,
matters?
yes, so the well field, well 5, is a well field that makes up, it's about 7 wells. So they all have the transducers, and then we're gonna be proofing out skater alarms. So we're finalizing, the goal is to have it done before Christmas, and the holidays coming up. So
Where do we stand with the DEP on their inspection, final inspection?
they want to come in one more time, so I'm not sure when that is. I can let the board know when they're coming if you'd like, but they want to come one more time to check things out.
Okay.
When's the last time you were there?
Today's Monday, Friday.
You were there Friday?
Mhm.
How often do they come,
Oh, I'm sorry.
the DEP?
Oh, I apologize, I misunderstood what you said. No, the DEP has not been on site maybe for a couple of months, maybe.
Okay. The condition of Pingree Farm Road. Pingree Farm Road is in deplorable condition. And I'm supposed to pass out a letter, but I don't seem to have it in my package.
No, we have some extra copies, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
We haven't had a meeting since we approved the money. We have a meeting tomorrow night. And hopefully 3 bids came in. We can pick a bid and have it done.
Okay, we did ask the fire chief to go up and take a look. We did ask the fire chief to go up and take a look.
No, I mean,
He did
you
write us
voted
a
last
report.
Monday for the money. We haven't
Yeah.
had a meeting since yours.
Right, no, I understand.
So tomorrow night is our meeting.
Yeah.
And hopefully we have 3 bids in. We
Okay.
have 3 bids to do it.
And
Pick somebody.
we passed out a list. I'm assuming that they're passing it around.
There's a letter from the fire chief to the Board of
Yeah.
Selectmen on the condition.
And we just wanted to make sure that you folks got a copy of that. And I actually had a chance to talk to the chief after he came back from his inspection. And his major concern, and I think because it's his major concern, it's probably mine too, he's very concerned about the condition of the road itself and how it's gonna last. We know that.
We
know
haven't
that.
had a meeting since you
No,
approved the
I
money.
understand, Roy, I understand. You haven't had a chance to do it, but I'm trying to tell you, we're trying to get his opinion as to what's going on up there.
No, we're gonna get it done as soon as we can.
No, I understand that, but his comment to me was that if you bring in a chlorine tanker up there, and that thing goes off the road and tips over, we will be in big
I realize that.
trouble. So we've got to do it in a timely fashion. And I understand you're working on it, you've got quotes coming in, it should get done very quickly.
Tomorrow night, hopefully we're gonna have 3 bids, so we
Yeah.
can award it to somebody.
And we just want you to be aware of
We
the,
didn't have the money to award it before last Monday night.
no, I understand, I was here last Monday and I voted on it with the rest of the board, and we've got the money for you, and hopefully it'll get done. But, you gotta understand that it's
I
gotta.
know it's very critical.
It is critical, very, and the chief has recognized that.
As I said when we was building the place, and they kept telling me that I didn't know what I was talking about, I said the road had to be fixed back then.
No,
And
no
Weston
one,
Sampson said there was nothing wrong with it, all it is an old wood road.
Well,
that's
yeah,
right, and the thing it is, this should have been built in the plan from
Exactly.
day one. Now
And
it's
they said
coming
they
up,
didn't need
creeping
it to
up,
be.
and this last week's weather didn't help, and
No,
like
we had
Chairman
3-4
Mary
inches
said,
of rain.
Roy, we all agree, you get a tanker going there, tip over in trouble. You guys are meeting tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, 6 o'clock.
I'll ask the manager, how soon would they start the project to get the grade in, the road in to workable condition? If they award tomorrow night, how, what, a week?
I would like to see it happen within a week, but, I've been running into difficulties getting 3 prices. I've contacted 6 companies, 1 was not interested. I have 1 price, and the rest said they would get back to me.
The
So,
thing it is, $10,000, you need bids.
8.
If you get on, no, it's
Well,
10.
at the Raleigh Water Department, we have 5.
Well,
5,000.
excuse me, no.
wait a minute, wait,
Hold on, hold on, wait a minute,
whoa,
Lloyd.
no,
Let me-
we're not gonna talk about that.
We,
this
Mr.
point.
Chairman, we have a procurement policy, so under chapter 39M, Public Works Construction, that's what this would be considered. Under 10,000, the law is silent on that. So, if there's, sound business practices and they're trying to solicit, that's fine, but they do not have to, and they have to
They
follow.
don't. If
the
the
towns.
manager tried to call 6 companies, write who you called. I've been through this a lot, believe me, I know, in practice with town business. You tried, you get 3. You only get 1, you hire them.
No, Tim
Am I
Tim
right,
and I got
Debbie?
thrown under the bus for the garage bid,
Huh?
for everything over 5,000. And we just, at the water department, we have it at 5,000. We gotta have 3 bids. That's our policy down the water department.
Oh, you made that policy?
Yes.
You did, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't,
I mean, Tim and I got thrown under the bus over that garage bid that we wasn't involved in, and
I just
Well,
said
yeah, but I mean, the
since
state
garage-
policy, Roy, is, if she's doing that and gets telephone and you write them, you know, if you write them bids, what she could call, you don't need a price under 10. But I didn't know that if that's in your regs down there, that you did 5, then that's a different can, I
Since-
think, unless it can be overstepped, Debbie.
no,
It used
it
to be 5, and the state recently.
Upped it.
upped it
On
to
30B.
10,000.
30B, which is
The
goods and
problem is-
services,
is-
that's separate.
At this point, you're not gonna get, I guess my question is, if you don't get 3 bids, what are you gonna do? Because you're not gonna get 3 bids.
What specifically is the scope of work for the project?
Well, it's, I think the bid.
You're gonna
you
dig
talked-
the road out?
The
and-
bid you talked about
got
at your
$8,000
last
worth.
meeting was 5,000 and something.
What are they specifically gonna do?
They're gonna dig the road out,
They're gonna dig it out? to 8,000?
somewhat, raise it up, smooth it out,
the only thing is.
bring
at
in 8
first-
loads of crushed stone, compact it, and make it usable for the winter.
That one bid that we had, though, didn't have the prevailing wage on it, that's why.
That, as far as I'm pretty sure that's all taken care of.
So do we
But I mean,
have,
the problem is it appears as though you're gonna get, cause I checked with the superintendent today, cause I had a concern about,
okay,
because we've gotta get that done before the frost really gets in the road. She only has 1 bid, and it sounds like the potential for getting any more bid, I mean, if they come in tomorrow, that's fine, but if they don't, you guys really need to make a award, or somebody has to award
well,
and
do
get the
do
road
we,
done.
do we have a scope of work? And do you
Yeah.
have something prepared that you've given to the contractors?
yes,
And that'll do fit the project.
yes.
It's
to
the
make it
Band-Aid
work,
to get through the winter.
Fire truck, tanker, and you can get in. So it's
Yeah.
up, it's in their game.
Yeah, it's up.
Awarded tomorrow night.
I just wanna make sure that it is.
It's the only thing,
because
it's emergency too.
if we don't
I
get that
think.
road fixed, we're gonna
Of
have,
course.
they're gonna have problems.
Could have a
Town's gonna have
snowstorm in a
problems.
week and now where you're going.
Yeah.
Back to square one. Get it done. Want it tomorrow night, yeah.
Any other discussion? The only reason I brought it up was because the last point that you made was that it should have been done a long time ago.
It should have.
And I'm just saying,
When we put that thing out for
let's-
bid, it should have been done, and Barbara
No,
Cook
I-
told me from Western Sampson, there was nothing wrong with that road, and I says, well, nothing but a wood road for years.
yeah, and I agree with you, Roy, it should have been done with, under the contract, it should have been. the
Should have been,
pavement-
it should have been
pavement
a
should
$12 million project.
Yeah. So, but I just wanna make sure it gets done. I mean, we don't have time, as Davis mentioned, once we get frost on the ground, we're cooked, we're all done.
Was it possible that we
I
can?
mean,
do
the right
job?
way, you dig it out, you know as well as I do, you gotta dig it out a foot or two,
Big
and
job. I mean,
put some fabric paper down, some good
We've
material.
been maintaining that road right along, I mean, why can't we do it?
well,
We
the
got a back
contractor
road.
was maintaining it.
Well, the contractor was maintaining it, Tim.
All he was doing
No, no, I'm
was-
talking about before the contract was ever awarded.
Yeah, but you
didn't have the
didn't have the
traffic
traffic
in
before.
there.
You didn't have the traffic every day in there before
But
that.
we weren't maintaining it, so we do have experience maintaining the road.
Yeah, but now the thing, Tim, you're opening the treatment plant up, and it's almost 13 mil.
I mean, before they drove one pickup in there a day, now
What's
it probably
$8,000
does
or
it.
$20,000 or what you gotta get into that facility, you know? Which it should have been all prepared
All I'm
and
saying
hot
is
top way back, you know, and figured in.
All I'm saying is if we can't get the bidding process or get this thing emergency work done quick, then we can have our guys kind of get on it to make sure that it does get a little bit, getting some of these potholes out of there, so.
Yeah, but I don't think you get the help. I'm not down there or know what's going on.
Equipment.
I don't think you get the equipment, you don't have the help.
If you award the bid tomorrow night, that road will be done within a week, I'll guarantee you.
Yeah,
That's all I can say.
you agree?
You know,
Louis?
assuming that the weather holds.
Yeah, I mean, all we can do is water it, and tell the guy to get down there and hurry up, you know?
We helped you out last week.
No, but I mean, we haven't had a meeting since.
No, exactly,
yours.
exactly.
We have ours every two.
So it's up to you guys tomorrow night to put the stamp on it and go.
If
Have the
plan is tomorrow
superintendent say, look, we really need it. I'm sure she'll put the hammer down and get it done. So, I said enough.
Okay, that's good. All right, the next one is revenue collections and budgetary matters. We see that the water department has collection issues reflecting a shortfall of tens of thousands of dollars. Does the water board have any idea where they stand with the water billing for fiscal year 15? Will the water board make its fiscal 15 revenue targets?
We signed the liens last meeting.
Could I ask a question, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
How many bills are outstanding for residents?
38,
And-
was it 39? We had to put liens on?
Well, we had an original number of, I think it was 161 accounts.
116?
60.
161.
And then we took a look at those, and some of them, it was like, 29 cents,
Okay.
$3, so it was kinda like that, probably the discount, issue. So we took those off the list. And then we had, several buckets where it was the overdue 1 to 30, 30 to 60, 60, and then 120. We chose a criteria of anything outstanding over 60 days, that list.
Was it days or was it a
Overdue.
set amount?
We didn't set the amount yet. We first went with, over 60 days.
Over 60
That
days?
brought the list down to 109.
109. Okay, so over 60 days, we have 109 accounts overdue. And do we know for those 109 accounts, what is the total revenue that's owed to the town?
I
Or to
think,
the water department?
plus or minus, it's around $160,000. That's,
160?
yes.
Okay, so it's 160.
That's all the accounts.
That's all the accounts?
That's everything.
That's everything. Okay.
We put
At
liens
the,
on, 38, right? 39.
Well, the
Liens
water,
on.
the water board then, at the following meeting, set the criteria to move forward with putting the water liens on.
okay,
And they set the criteria of anything over 500, we would put a water lien on properties.
okay, so it was set at over $500. Okay, why, and I strict with the commissioners, why set a dollar amount and not a over
Cause
60
some,
days,
you take some water bills of $300-400 a month.
right?
So I mean, if you went, under 500, I mean, they haven't even had 30 days, 35 days, you know, when the next bill comes out, you know what I'm saying? So we set a figure of $500. Anything over 500, that's when we put the lien on. I mean, there's people that, you know, that might have a medical issue, or something like that. They give them some kind of a break. It's that, so we had to pick a number for when we was gonna put the thing on.
In years past, do we know what last year, how many accounts we had that were over?
Yeah,
I don't have it in front of me.
roughly, I think 7 or 8
7 or 8 accounts that were,
that we went and put liens on.
7 or 8 you put liens on,
And
but
Karen
how
did-
many,
Can you
How many-
verify?
I
We
think
put-
that was about what it was, but I don't know that it was just over 60 days. It might have been a longer period.
what was the, do we know what the criteria was that we set to get that revenue? Was it an amount of, a fixed amount of money, or was it days last year?
We had 500 on it before.
We had $500. So last year we had 9.
Yeah, I think we signed, what, 38 or 39, was it I
9
signed?
that were over.
I don't
I
think it was.
I am
It was less
having a
30s.
hard time
31, yeah.
understanding how we had last year 9 accounts, and then now this year we have 161 accounts that are overdue.
Yeah, but the ones that are, the weight that are over that we put the lien on, I think there's only 38 or 39.
Or 30, or even 38 or 39, but, and we only had 9 last year, and now we're, that we put liens on. But what was the total amount that was
I don't have it
overdue
in front
last
of me.
year? And has this been a past practice?
There's always been a few, you know.
Every time, every December, it's a mad rush to get the liens out because of the accounting process and the deadlines that Karen's got to take care of. So, you know, so every December or every end of November, it's time to decide on what liens, what bills will be liened.
Well,
what properties.
right now, this is a huge amount of money that we have, $160,000. This is $160,000 of revenue that the water department needs to operate.
Exactly.
And without it, I mean, the rest of the town is gonna subsidize these accounts. Now, I was listening to, up at the water board 2 weeks ago, and there was somebody who had an account who, there was a leak in their house. Okay, and I felt bad, you know, I heard the story, and last, I think it was in the spring, after the winter, I turned my spigots on to the outside, to the hoses, okay? And I didn't know it, but one of them, over the winter, the gasket in there, because, you know, freezing up and everything else, it leaked, okay? And I didn't catch it until I got the water bill, okay? And I was responsible for that amount of money, over. And then I paid it, okay? Because it's on my property. And I talked to Stu. Stu had something similar. Stu and I talked about this. And I don't expect the town to subsidize my water bill.
What we've been
No, we
doing
don't
now,
either.
with these
We
new
don't either.
meters,
We haven't forgiven those bills, Bob.
All right, but I thought that you voted last week.
so what with these new meters now, where they're doing it every month, they can pick up the leak where before it used to be a 6 month,
Yeah.
or at one time it was quarterly, so it was 3 months. What we've been doing now, we can pick it up, and if the people are trying to fix it right away, then we've been trying to work with them to help them out. You know, if we call them and say, you get a leak, or send them a letter, or call them, or whatever, and if they take care of it right away, get a plumber in, or whatever. And we're trying to work with the people.
Are we
not against
voting
them.
to subsidize? As the commissioners, are you subsidizing?
We're
these
trying to help
outstanding?
work with the people.
I know, but are you voting to pay this amount or forgive them?
No. What's the
Some
abatement?
we've been
what's the
splitting in
abatement
half,
policy?
depending on each case. What?
Well, I mean, there's
Okay, well-
people in town here, if they're, if they make, something happens, and, the toilet, there's a leak in the toilet or something like that, are we gonna subsidize that?
No,
Or-
no. It-
Anything
it's-
to sue the meter, you pay for. I always,
You know, we've had quite a few of the elderly people who've had problems, and we've tried to work with them, trying to be fair with everybody. And,
Was
sometimes
this, has
they
this
didn't
been a,
realize they had a problem, they weren't home.
has this been a
Yeah.
past practice?
It has been since I've been on the board.
yeah, it has, when I was on for 12 years, same thing. But we,
Abatements?
yes, a lot of abatements, you
Not
took
abatements
some.
on those bills, no.
Huh?
Those bills aren't forgiven, Bob. Those abatements are different.
Right now I'm confused, because I'm hearing,
An abatement is something that, is an unforeseen thing when somebody has a leak
well, no, there's a problem with the meter.
or problem with the meter.
If there's a
Right.
problem with the meter,
There's
that can be
some criteria
proven,
on that, yeah.
okay?
Yeah, what
that
we do
it's
is we
the-
send the
Send
meter
them
out.
out.
Yeah,
So that's an abatement,
but-
that's different than the.
That's, okay. But what about, I, last, 2 weeks ago, I thought I heard, didn't I, Dave? Did you hear the same thing I heard? That somebody was
Well, I think the issue is, when the meter person came in and gave a talk a month ago, they basically said that with these meters, the meters aren't gonna run fast. They're either gonna run slow or they're not gonna operate at all. So that somebody's should not get overbilled for a meter that's running too fast, because the meter, the meter reads the water as it goes through the pipe. So if the meter is having a problem, it may not spin as fast as it should, but it's never gonna spin twice as fast as the water going through the meter. So I mean, the abatement should be based on meter issues, and I guess my question is, and I'm confused, is what is the abatement? I got a number of questions, but what is the abatement policy? In other words, if I get a bill this month and my water bill is up twice as high as.
We take each
So-
one case to case.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
what I'm saying is, Roy, it's fine to do it case to case, but it's gotta be, the cases need to be dependent not on whether someone has a leaky toilet or their irrigation system in the yard is leaking. That's not my problem, that's not your problem, that's the people who should be monitoring their water bills. And in particular now, where it's a monthly bill, and it was a 6-month bill, it might go 6 months before someone,
Right, now,
Really,
it's
now we do
changed
it in
a
a
lot
month.
since we went from the quarterly to the monthly.
Right.
Because we can pick it up quicker.
But it's
Because-
like I picked up my leaky faucet,
Right.
and I took
Right.
care of it, all right? One of the things that's really bothering me here when I look at this, we have $160,000 outstanding. Now, last year, we didn't have $160,000 outstanding. And now we started with, we have third-party billing,
They've been a
with,
lot
with,
slower
with,
paying.
with Penachek.
Yep.
Okay? And now we've just picked this up. My antenna's up here. And I don't understand all of a sudden why we have $160,000 and we have a third-party billing, and they picked it up.
No,
What was-
we had the problem right along, but people are paying slower for the
Oh,
slow
oh,
last
no.
year for
But-
some reason.
Bob,
But,
can
wait, just, we have $160,000 at this particular time, okay? What was it last year? We only had nine people behind arrears? And for how much money total was it last year?
I don't have those figures because I wasn't told that we was gonna be talking about that tonight, so I don't have that with me.
So the abatement process is something entirely different. This is putting liens on.
Oh, all right, I understand.
And I understand there's
the lien-
$160,000 that aren't received at this point, so it hurts our revenue. So we're $160,000 behind on the revenue number. But this
Now-
just popped up this year.
Well,
And now,
No,
what was it?
every year
could
we've
be
been
that-
signing.
Was it $160,000
No, no,
last
but I mean,
year?
every
I
year
don't know what it
there's
was
more.
last year, but
No, it
it could
wasn't
be
that way that
that there are
much.
harder times out there for people to pay bills this year.
We've
than
only,
last
we've
year.
only got 1 year, and I was wondering about the year before that and the year before that.
I've signed the lien things since I've been on there. There's always some lien ones that get, sent.
Mr. Chairman, when I was at their meeting 2 weeks ago, the indication was that there were 109 letters sent out. That's part of my question about what the lien policy, in other words, that the first thing that happens is not a lien. When the bill is overdue, you send out letters.
Right. We try the best to collect before.
109 letters they sent out, and this is as of the meeting 2 weeks ago. You sent out 109 letters previous. 71 of those letters had no responses. 39 letters came in and paid the whole bill, or at least part of the bill. So the letters did help to reduce that total. Now, the vote at that meeting that night was to put a lien on anybody over 60 days and over $500, those two things combined. Now, there's also, I know the light department, I assume, sends out letters.
Yes. They've
If
had.
the letters
that-
don't get response, you do something else. Ultimately, I haven't heard anything mentioned about shutting water off before the lien
Then
process.
it goes by,
But let me just finish up my one thought here. According to the information that night, was that there was about 30-plus accounts over $500 that were owed. And that was for a total of approximately $54,000. So out of 160,000, only 54,000 is over 500. So what are we doing with all those people that are under the other 100,000 owed that we're not putting liens on, that are less, I guess they could be over 60 days, but they're not, they're under 500. So I mean, that's $100,000 worth of smaller bills that aren't big enough that they've not determined to put a lien on. So I mean, the problem we have here is, in the past, we were running just a distribution system. That was one thing, I guess. And I know going way back that the water department was spending money out of whatever account it wanted to spend, and it was making things balance somehow. The problem we have this year, and where the state was giving us a hard time setting the tax rate because you're not collecting, well, the number of outstanding bills is humongous, and running this treatment plant now, we got this is a whole new ballgame up there. This isn't the same old water department we had a year or 2 years ago. You've got a whole brand new treatment plant that's very expensive to run. And I think what we're trying to impart to you gentlemen is that we need every penny we can
I
get.
realize, but we have people that have a $300
Well,
bill,
then-
and they come in with 100.
Well, I hear.
You know, they're working on it,
Every
you know?
meeting, I hear Mr. Toomey and Mr. Dazell talk about they don't want to increase the rates. If you don't collect that $160,000, you know what you're gonna have to do? Increase the rates. And you know how much you're gonna have to increase the rates? People are complaining now, they're really gonna complain. I mean, people use the water, I'm sorry, they use the power, and when if they don't pay the bill, the power company shuts them off. I mean, we've gotta come up with a policy
But-
that sets, you use the water, you pay for it. I mean,
No, but-
if the customer isn't paying for it, then the three of us, the five of us, all of us, the residents here are paying for it, so.
But-
I mean, somebody has to pay for it.
May I say something?
Sure.
Okay, so part of the problem is, it's sort of like a cost benefit. Now, I think it costs roughly $125 to file a lien on a property, is that correct?
We get it back. They pay it.
Oh, I
You
know
gotta
that.
pay it.
So, 150 times 130 is a lot less than whatever. So, that's one of the considerations. The other thing is that with, a bill that's under $500 and it's not too far out, chances are that person's gonna finally cough up the money and pay the bill. So we think that, it doesn't make sense to really put a lien on it when they're gonna pay anyway, because they're only just slightly, they're only $400 out, okay? It's the ones that are over 500 that are more concerned to us.
But we got $100,000
They have been
in bills
more
that are
concerned-
under 500.
I know, but it's been a concern of this board, so if you have a better way that you want us to do it, then,
no, I
You know?
don't think you follow my drift here.
okay?
We have $160,000, okay?
We picked this up this year through the Penachuk billing, okay? Last year, we don't know, nobody can tell me.
Well, you didn't give us this to bring with us anyway. All that's on the paper that was mailed to me, that was gonna talk about the water treatment plant.
I would like
and the
to,
condition
I
of
would
the
like
road.
to know.
If I'd had that, I would've brought it with
There's
us.
another point I was gonna bring out, and the other point is that we're not sure some of these customers got the bills. There were several customers on that list that I noticed have several bills, and why wouldn't they just pay all the bills? There was some bills there that,
I think what you need,
Obviously,
I
there
think what
wasn't
you
a
need to
bill.
do is go back, as commissioners, okay? You guys have been on the commission for how long?
5.5.
5.5?
over that, yeah.
Okay. And looking back, you know, you should be able to kind of ballpark figure and tell me what, you know, what was last year. And I think we need to look,
Well, I
how
could
much
have
was,
if you told
how
us
much
100.
total that was the water department owed last year, and then the year before, and the year before that, and take a look at that. Because I'm very concerned that all of this on $160,000 falls in our lap here. And, you know, we've gone to a third-party billing. And they pick it up. But the water department didn't pick this up in
Yeah, we
years
had
years
the
ago.
problem right along, but
For $160,000.
I'm not sure what the
It
numbers were
wasn't
last year or the year
I'm sure it
before.
wasn't $160,000 last year.
So if it wasn't
I'd be
100,
very, very surprised if it was even close to that.
The bills are a lot higher now than they were 2 years ago,
So the
too.
bills are higher, there's a
all
lot
right, I
of
think it's
factors
something
involved.
you have to look into.
My bill's doubled, 2 years.
Right.
There's, all of us here are
No,
doubled.
but I mean, 2 years ago.
Going back,
The water bill was $500 a year, now it's $300 a month.
I can remember
some people,
back,
you
we
know?
only had a balance of delinquent, we called them then, under 40,000. What you did, it's like the light department. During the winter months, I think you two gentlemen, especially Bob would know, don't you have a time in the winter
Yeah.
you can't shut power?
Yes.
Wait 1 minute.
Yes.
You can't shut them. Now you have a lot of people, I don't even know how you operate over Danwood, that pay installments during the winter.
We'll
That
work
come
with
in.
anybody that comes
That's,
in.
well, that's
Yeah.
what they're trying to do, Bob. This thing has erupted in the last 2 years because we just built a $13 million, let's call it, plant. It didn't run the receipts they were taking in 2 and 3 years ago. It's tripled, maybe more than that. Now, the light department cannot touch me. I owe a bill during the winter. Now it comes, I don't know, what's it, April 1? You pay it. Or they come out, zing, pull out that round.
Well, under Massachusetts general
Right.
law, and I gave it to the
We used to shut off.
3 meetings ago, correct?
Yep.
And I don't have it with me right now, but I gave it to her, and she went, you looked it up, and it
How
spells
much
it
is
all
it? Can
out.
I ask you something quick? Yeah, utility, run by the town like they are. Self-support.
9 customers in arrears,
9.
9. For a
Okay,
total of
maybe 9, but what's the total money?
$33,000, a little bit over. I can give
Okay,
you- I can
all
give
right,
you-
okay, you answered the question.
Okay,
Now,
$33,670.
that's light department,
That's
you're in
light
arrears
department.
as
9.
of now.
And that's,
Okay.
those are over 120 days.
Okay. What we used to do, was the same people all the time when I was on there. They'd pay, they owed a $400, $500 bill. They'd come up, we're gonna give you 100. They made that attempt to come every month. They didn't, during the winter, we couldn't touch them. When it come April 15th, put the notice out, we're shutting your water off in 30 days, no money. Does that still happen? Well, no, you wasn't on this.
Well, that's a good time to do it, because we're kind of catching up.
You shut them off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But that's something
Plus,
different.
the liens came out,
Yeah, so
you know?
We, I don't
Jack,
know.
you may be onto something. You may be right. What you brought up, both because of the plant and the water rates and everything
Of
else.
course it's gone.
But it's the $160,000 to me is alarming.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, our
And-
water
and-
bill
it is
used to be
an alarming-
$200
it's
for
alarming
6
number.
months, and now it's,
And-
$100 a better a month.
Because some way we're gonna have to, if we don't collect this money,
We gotta make up the revenue to pay the plant.
And that means that the rates will go up
Operating.
on the other,
Yeah.
ratepayers.
Well, when this first started, I mean, everyone said, is this gonna work? Are we gonna do the 12.3 at town meeting? We're
Well,
in
I
the-
go back to Jack, I remember the 6.7.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now we're talking, we need money, we gotta do this, this costs money, that. Before we get done, we're probably talking another, I don't know, I'm not the figure man, but I'll bet you we're talking an increase of 500,000.
The bottom line here is we
It's
either
money.
collect the 160,000 or we raise rates. I
But
know
you're not
the-
gonna
I know
do
the board
that.
doesn't wanna raise rates, but
Yeah.
we can't, if you don't come up with the money to pay the bills, then the money comes out of the tax rate, our money, which means we gotta make a cut in the schools, the police, the fire.
You're right, Dave, and the
all
thing it
all
is,
these
there's a
issues.
lady over there that's a town treasurer. Probably a lot of people, out there can't pay their taxes.
I think.
Maybe a
we-
small portion, but
We actually, put on less than, I think, 10 tax liens this year.
which is
In
good.
other words, if we put the pressure on people, they're gonna pay.
The-
Sometimes you gotta twist people's arms to get them to pay. And I think that's what we're trying to say to you, gentlemen, is $500 is way, there's $100,000 according to what you're telling us tonight in bills that are under $500 to put the liens on. So how do we collect that money?
I don't understand why we put a dollar amount and not a day amount.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that should have been,
Well, Karen has some more.
Oh, I'm
Well,
sorry.
Well, and I'm agreeing with you, because basically you sent out 106 letters, roughly, and how many people didn't respond? 70?
Plus
So you had 70 people that didn't respond. You had 30 liens. So you have 40 people that got a letter that said, if you don't pay your bill, we're going to put a lien on. They ignored it, and nothing happened. So that's why I think you have a problem with collections, is there's no repercussions for not paying your bill.
I mean, there's some people, believe it or not, they have a $400 water bill a month. And, you know, if they're 15 days late, I mean, you're gonna start,
no, you're making 60 days or, what's the light department, 60 days, 90 days?
90 days.
90 days. I mean, if you can't pay the bill, you can come in and talk to the treasurer and she'll set up a payment plan so we don't put a lien on it. But I mean, you gotta make, as a customer, you gotta make some effort. I mean,
Right.
if you lose your
That's why we
job
had
or
the-
someone gets sick, we all understand that there are personal issues and we're not trying to take
that's why we
people's
put the
houses.
500 on it.
But we
It
need,
has been.
but the 500, you're missing, what we're saying, Roy, is but by putting a $500 limit on it, you're missing $100,000 in funds. Well, who's gonna make
Right.
that up? The rest of us are.
Big chunk.
I mean, we all wanna be nice people and, you know, not be hard-nosed about this, but we need, the town needs the revenue, or the rest of us are gonna have our water rates increased again. And the state's gonna give us a hard time if we don't do it about setting the tax rate. I mean, this is not just a water department issue, this is
Yes.
a town issue.
This
A
ripples over.
selectmen's issue, and, you know, it reverts back to, yeah, maybe I'm sure it's exasperated by the fact that we got the treatment plant now, and we need this revenue to keep things going. No longer can we sit here and just say, well, all right, we feel bad for you, we'll give you, you know, your toilet was leaking, we'll give you an abatement for half your bill or something. Those days are gone. We're sorry, but you use the water, you gotta pay for it. Use the power, and the power bills are more, I'm sure the monthly power bill, my power bill is a lot more than my water bill is every month, but if we put if you have to pay it, you either pay it or you don't get any more water, or you pay the light bill, you don't get any more. We hate to be that way, but, you
I
know.
don't think anyone on our board is suggesting that we don't put liens on things. We
I'm
just-
not talking about liens, I'm talking
Well,
about,
collection.
you're only putting
the
liens on the
collection.
big bills, I mean, you're missing $100,000 by setting a $500,
Well,
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm not sure when the process began, when we were trying to get these bills paid. I don't know, I didn't quite get to look at and study it with much time in the meeting there the last time, but I'm not sure.
Been a limit on it since I've been on the board.
Huh?
There's been a limit on it since I've been on the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing too, Roy, is, you're pumping all this water out, and, what's a percent now DEP looks for? What is it, like,
Unaccounted for?
yeah, unaccountable is what? It's like 2%?
10%.
10 now, okay.
I want you to be under 10.
Under 10. So I mean, if you're showing, you pumped 158 million gallons off 150 for the year, and you're only showing money collected on 130 million for the leak detection and everything. I mean, they look at, am I right? They're looking
Plays
at
into it,
the
yeah.
water pump versus what you're getting paid for too.
Yeah.
I mean, be like the light department, everything goes through the meter. I mean, you don't go and say, oh no, we had 8 million kilowatts. No, we didn't do that much. That's a little bit different, utility. But they were always on us way back, I mean, on the water back then, and they wanted us to try to track a fire down on a house fire or a chimney, how many gallons that the fire department used. And you have it now, maybe, Beth, don't you, on
Yes.
roughly what they would use, or,
Yep. We have to keep
and
track
you
of the
flush
non-alcoholic.
hydrants, you gotta have a little record, am I right? How many
Yes.
gallons per hydrant for 5-minute flush?
Yep.
And you add the numbers up,
Mhm.
you know?
The other question I have, Mr. Chairman, is I don't know if it was the last meeting or the meeting before, or somewhere along the way there, there's quite a number of meters that are reading 0. Penachuk's reporting that they're getting basically no people that have a meter that aren't using any water. Now, I remember seeing a list a while back, and yeah, there was a couple of houses that have been foreclosed on and some issues like that. But I mean, if you got a meter, if you're got a meter that's reading 0, what is the water department doing about determining whether the meter's broken or whether there's a?
All the meters have been changed out, so there's all new
But
meters now.
how many meters, I forget at that meeting a couple of months ago, how many there was it 40 meters that weren't reading, Mary Beth? I can't remember what the number was.
I'm sorry, the number
It was a fairly sizable amount. So therefore, these people are either getting free water,
No, we had some.
or
centers-
or if they got their own wells and they're mixing
That's what
the
they
town
say.
water, which is illegal. But we need to account for why we have hookups that aren't using any water. If they're not using any water, then I don't know legally what you can do, but it kind of tells me that maybe the meter's broken altogether.
But we've had quite a few people say that they stopped using the town water and gone to the back to the well water.
Well, what you need to do in that case is take their meter out.
Yeah, I mean,
Because if
it's,
they're using well water, and
And we have all new meters, so it's not like we have old meters that are
Well-
out there not
Well, you
working.
have to have black
when you
backflow,
sit-
right?
yeah,
Yep.
well, you gotta take care of the cross connections, you just can't let that happen. The meters you're talking about, you said you got all brand new meters, when were they put in?
In what, last 3 years, correct? 2.5.
It's been a meter replacement program for the last 3 or 4
They
years.
all complete now, Tim?
I'm not sure.
I mean, everyone got them? I know a family in Raleigh that has got a well, and they got town water, like you said. Different connections, and they haven't been using town water since the big rate went up, whatever, so they plug into their well.
plus these people
And they're
aren't
using the well.
allowing the town to even come in and look at their meter.
No,
Right.
no, this thing, Dave, now, if something happens, I mean, they get the water to the house, meter in the cellar. They are gonna use it. During the summer months, they use the well for watering and whatever, you know.
Well,
And there's multiple people around town, I know that have that, but I
And
do know.
they require a backflow check,
That's right,
right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't mix, the water doesn't
Right.
mix.
exactly.
Yeah, super.
There can be no connection. A backflow preventer is not acceptable in this instance.
Okay.
It has to be a complete separate
System by
system.
itself.
So a resident cannot go into the basement, I'm tired of paying my water bill, turn a valve, I'm gonna use my well. It has to be complete. They can have a well, they can use it for irrigation only. It has to either go out to a dedicated outside faucet or to a dedicated irrigation system. Cannot have the option to go back and forth. We do have several of those. I'm gonna be working with the Board of Health and the plumbing inspector, because, several of these people will not allow access, the water department access. You cannot deny the water department access to the water meters. We have to get in there. We can shut the water off for denying access. The zero accounts, Pennachuck, normally the standard practice is you would send a postcard saying, hey, there's, call us if there's a problem, or send a letter. Customers are ignoring the letters. So I had door tags made up, and then, check a box of what the option is. We tagged 40 homes last week for varying issues with their water bill, sporadic usage, which would indicate possibility of a well. Some that would go for several months. Did the person go out of town for 3 or 4 months and there's just no usage? So we tagged them. I don't have a number, but out of 40, I would say we've gotten about 12 to 15 responses from the door tags. When Pennachuck customer service reps speak to customers, they are very detailed on the conversation, so that if it's ever called back, what happened is a detailed, and I get that. So if I have a question about an account, I get a spreadsheet with all of the dates and times, which customer service rep. It's all fully documented. There's customers on record saying exactly that. I have a well, and they're mixing. So there are about 4 or 5 that I'm aware of, and we will be getting in them. I'll be working with the Board of Health and the plumbing inspector to work on this, to get rid of this, because this is a public health concern. I know that you have a private well and you drink it, but to a public water system, it's a contaminated source because it's not regulated, it's not tested. So if anything from that well, if it has E. coli or coliform in it, and there's a change in pressure in the system, they could contaminate. We could have a bacteria outbreak in the system from some residential well. So there's a huge concern there. The no usage, what the water department does have a policy that if we cannot get a reading, we estimate. So these bills, I've been having Pennachuck estimate the bills. I found that policy, so I'm going with it. Rather than sending no bill, we're estimating until we can resolve and fix the meter. The other thing that we're doing is, the board talked about a bunch of things, but I'm working on an abatement policy. The one we do have a policy. It is part of the operating procedures for the water department. However, it's too liberal. An abatement is for a catastrophic event. Not, I have $100 water bill, I'm going to apply for an abatement and you get $50 off. I've done abatements over my career where people have gone away for the winter, it's leaked, a slow leak in their basement, and they come back, and this isn't a department that didn't bill monthly, and they have a $10,000 water bill. That's a catastrophic event. Yes, that you should apply for an abatement. Every dollar we don't collect, every dollar we give back, as Selectman Peterson said, we are going to have to raise the rates. We're operating, we're spending money every day. One of the things I'm going to be doing is I'm looking at having a rate study done, a full-blown rate study, to see exactly where we are and see what we need. I think that the current rate structure we have, there's too many gallons for too little dollars. I'm sure the people paying the water bills may not agree, but the range is from 0 to 4,000 is one rate, 4,001 to I think it's 36,000 is another rate, and then it's 36,001 to 99999. That's huge. So I think we'll be looking at maybe adding in some tiers. Possibly looking, not changing the rates that are there, adding maybe 1 or 2 more tiers, and also possibly looking at putting in a monthly base charge, whatever it is, to $25 a month, and that's guaranteed income. That's always going to be there. I think that utilities have that, it's a maintenance fee, if you will, kind of thing. So we'll be looking at those types of things, for the rate study. The water board just voted, to have a shut-off policy. We did not have a shut-off policy, so I drafted one up. The board accepted it. It's, very clear. We'll be gearing up to instituting that policy once the lien process is over. In January, we're gonna be starting to send the letters out to customers that in general owe us money. You owe this much, pay it by this date. We'll be sending them a second and third letter, but by April 15th, if people are not paid up, my staff and I will be out tagging the doors saying, if you don't pay your water bill by close of business today, we will be back at 8 a.m. to shut your water off. And that's what we're gonna start to do. Part of the issue is that staffing, that the manpower is not there. This whole process is very time consuming with manpower, for the whole process, for the office people involved and the staff out in the field. So they did not follow through with shutting off anybody because there just wasn't anybody to do it. For a while there was one person, in the field. So we will be, getting back into gearing up with that policy again, in the spring. In the meantime, we also have a policy that says, whether water is used or wasted, it is the responsibility of the customer to pay that water bill. So if you have a leak, you're still responsible for paying the water bill, you're also responsible for getting the leak fixed. If a person falls on hard times or has issues, you can't just not pay your bill. You need to contact the water department because we do offer a payment plan. However, there has to be some criteria with that. Since I've been on board, we have a few people that are on a payment plan that the board voted on before I came on board, and they're not paying. They're not even sticking to the payment plan. Made several attempts to call these people to find out what's going on, and no response. So we're not getting a response back from the customers. I mean, that's the other thing. Some people were saying that I don't get a water bill, however, they received a lien letter. So the letter was the same address that the water bill goes to. People just are, for one reason or another, I've been talking with several customers since I've been manning the office over the last few months. People just aren't paying their bills, just because. Some people, that's the answer, just because.
Well, I think it's critical that we develop an enforcement policy, because obviously, I think part of the problem is that a lot of people don't pay if they think they can get away with it. So therefore, I would seriously take a look at getting rid of the $500 lien policy. I mean, not to do it this month, but I mean, as you move forward, and anybody over 90 days, let's say, that's more than enough time to be either paying your bill or coming to you people and saying, I got a problem, my husband's got cancer and he's out of work and we need a payment. Okay, fine, we won't put a lien on your house, and we won't shut your water off. But it's up to the customer to come back to you and say something. I mean,
Make a attempt.
All I'm hearing about from the superintendent is that these people, you're sending out letters, you're paying 43 cents a letter or whatever it is, and people are just ignoring it. Well, then if they ignore that when you send them another letter, they ignore the next letter. They're ignoring, lien letters. They're ignoring,
Well, they're gonna respond to the liens, and they're gonna respond to the shut-off.
so therefore, let's reduce it.
The shut-off policy, I think we've had a shut-off policy going right along, along with going way back.
Well, maybe it's just a lack of help that's reduced it, but I think in looking through the winter now, so that come April 1st or whatever day the shut-off comes, that these people have had a notice that either pay, come down and talk to us, or we shut the water off. If
When you shut the water off, Dave, they'll be there.
They'll be there.
They'll be back. They'll be there.
You buy a new television, or do you pay a water bill? I mean,
So getting
that's
back-
what we're dealing with here.
So getting back to the putting liens on it, I think the shut-off policy is gonna be the thing to get people to pay.
Well, I think from the sound of the
Liens
water
are
department, is
expensive.
if you get a good shut-off policy, you're not gonna have many liens. Right now, we got a lot of liens because there's been no policy enforcement.
Well, I don't know what the shut-off policy is, I
Well, that's where you're the commissioner, you should know. If you don't know, then
Well, I know.
what
So I don't
what
know
do we
offhand,
say?
but I
I
know
mean,
we have
If
a-
you don't know, the public
Didn't I
sits at
just hear there
home.
was a shut-off policy?
The
Yeah.
board voted on it at the
Yeah,
last
but I don't know the
meeting.
details of it, Bob. When?
Well, you're the board
At our
member, you
last
should
meeting,
know.
the water board voted on the shut-off policy that I drafted up.
We've always had a shut-off policy, so.
That's right.
I don't,
Well, that's, you can't
Oh,
even tell us,
I mean,
you can't even tell
April
us what it is,
15th.
so I mean.
I can't quote it.
Do we have-
People at home should be able to sit here and sit there
No,
tomorrow
April
night when you have your
15th,
meeting, somebody
If
should
I-
tell them what.
If you told me I
what
was
the-
gonna talk about shut-off policies, I would've brought 3 or 4 of them in here
People
tonight.
knew the
Like that.
gang, we're gonna shut off.
Lots
We
of
have one at a
excuses.
time.
Uh, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Well, I think definitely this has to change from a dollar amount to days. That has to change. And we have to make an attempt, because we have $160,000. This is gonna affect the whole town budget. And something has to be done immediately. I would like to compliment the superintendent. I've sat on this board for 7 years, and I've gone through everything that's happened. And I have to say, the superintendent, since she come in, all the hard work that she has put into this department, give her a compliment. She has been nothing but, her nose has been to the grindstone the whole time. We're very lucky to have her here. Again, I've been here for 7 years, sitting on this board. And this is a competent supervisor we have in this position. And I thank you very much for all the hard work.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Every question I've asked has been answered. As commissioners, you have to do something. You have to, tomorrow night at your meeting, and talk about this and get this straightened out.
I think Bob mentioned the time versus dollars. One of the issues you deal with time, okay, I owe $500 on my water bill. If I can maintain $499 by making little payments each month, I don't have to pay that $500.
That's true.
So if I get creative and keep my calculator battery up, I'm making money. So you need a time frame, 60 days, 90 days, whatever it takes. Once it gets to that point, you don't want to go ridiculous. If they owe 35 cents because it's a interest rate from the last bill, you kind of overlook that. But if it's more than that, then you got to go after them and make them pay. And if they can pay a lower amount, they will pay it. If they can't come up with the $500, they're just going to ignore you. That's part of the problem. We go to the 0 meter readings. Those meters have been in at least 3 years, some of them anyway. You do know they have batteries in them.
Supposed to be good for 10 years.
Yeah. Yep. That's what Boeing said when they put them in their airplanes.
No, I'm just saying, when we bought them, they're supposed to be good for 7 to 10 years.
Yeah. Is there any way to tell if they're good or not? Is there any indication on the dial that tells you that
There's a light that blinks, I believe, correct?
I'm not quite sure.
I'm pretty
We
sure
won't
there's
pick
a-
up the read. So we
Well,
drive by, won't pick
it
up.
won't pick up the read if the battery's dead.
Right.
So, I mean, that might be part of the problem, and it may be other issues. I can't imagine that many people are just out of town for that length of time every month, that you get them 0 reading. There's gotta be something wrong with the meter. Either it's jammed up, or the battery's dead, and it could very well be. I mean, we had the same issue with the light meters. They came out with the new electronic meters, and they had batteries in them, and they didn't last. So, I mean, that's an issue you need to probably look into. That might help some of that problem. So,
I think the other thing, Mr. Chairman, that Mary Beth said, that she don't have the personnel to go and bang, 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 get all these people, knock on the door, and make sure they're there, right? You know, the staff you're short, aren't you?
Yes,
On
I am.
people to get out there.
Yes.
And I think it's important for the board tomorrow night to really address this, Roy, Tim, to push this. You know, not to look for the 500, but to get out there and just get 100 a month, or to catch up at least 50% on the bill or whatever. And looks like what I'm hearing, the $500 out there, there's not that many people even listening to you with a letter coming out to collect the money that's owed the water department, so it's important that we really get on there and generate some money. I really don't wanna see my rate go up, and I know anyone else, so unless try to get the people.
If
Go after it.
If we can't get this off of square one, I mean, I'm perfectly happy to support, have an outside auditor come in and take a look at the last 2 or 3 years of bills and billing and
Well, that's something I was gonna,
income and outgo, and get a handle on where we've been and where we're going as part of, if we're gonna do a rate study. I mean, last year, we kinda took a shortcut on the rate study just to get it done because of the budget process, but I mean, you guys gotta start putting your budgets together, and, you know, we need facts and figures, and if we ever not get an outside auditor come in and, you know, where have we been and where are we going? Because with this treatment plant, once again, we're in a world of hurt if we're not producing the revenue to make this thing run.
now, as Madam Treasurer, last year, we were waiting on the water department for their figures, correct?
I'm sorry?
We were waiting on the water department for the figures so we could, about our budget.
We were 70 grand out of whack.
Right, right. For the tax rate, are you talking?
No,
Oh.
for the tax rate, trying to set the budget up. And we were
Right.
waiting on the numbers from the water department.
Well, trying to set the tax rate, we were waiting for, there was a shortfall between what the water department said that they were going to have in water revenues and what they actually collected. And that had to be explained to the DOR before they would allow us to set our tax rate. Because what they want to do is they want to make sure that basically, if the water department is saying they're gonna collect, X amount in, water billings, that they're actually making it, because if they're not making those billings, then that's an indication that their rates are too low.
So what, last year, the shortfall that we had, was that caused because of, we didn't collect revenue?
No, it was caused because they didn't bill enough.
They didn't bill enough.
It wasn't
Right.
enough to
Okay.
They didn't bill what
support
they
the
said they were
budget.
going to bill.
But tomorrow night, do you think you could find out what the shortfall was last year for
We're gonna see
what
if we can find
customers?
paper.
Superintendent, do you think that's possible?
I can
Okay.
try to get those numbers, sure.
All right.
Because you're dealing with two separate issues.
Right.
One issue is saying you're going to have X amount of water usage, which is separate from collecting what you actually did bill. So you're talking about two separate things. So you've got kind of the shortfall on
Right.
both ends at the current time.
You know, I think what Dave brought up, that we might have to do that. We have to ask for that. Ask for forensic audit to see where we are. Going
You
back a
guys
few
still
years.
have that gentleman from Newburyport?
Oh, yeah, he's a consultant, you can
I can't think of
contact
his
him.
name.
But that's for
No, I
setting the
mean-
rates, right?
Yeah, but he would look at what your future would be on, expense and to run the department and all that. What was
The
his
same
name?
guy we've had since I've been.
You've had him a long time. He was pretty good there.
Yeah.
See,
He
part of
was
the
like
problem
a
was we didn't have all the figures for the estimated operational costs for the plant, so that, that was kinda like, there was some kind of wiggle things there going on
Yeah.
to figure out what the best approach was, so. But we had didn't we have a lot of free cash last year too, Karen?
I don't know what the free cash is for fiscal year 14. I don't think it's been. You did, yes.
So, I don't know.
All right, can we go to the last bullet?
Yep.
Did we kick this one around long enough?
Too long.
Okay, the next one is DEP violations. The DEP has issued several violations over the past year. These violations go back to June. The selectmen are concerned about this. What measures are you taking to address these?
You're the ones with the answers to that one, you're the ones getting involved in it.
We've had, as you mentioned, several violations with the DEP. They're all for not sampling. It was, just want to make it clear that we didn't violate an MCL or a maximum contaminant level for anything in the drinking water. It was back in August of 2014, the water department was supposed to collect, I believe it was radon, and we didn't collect it. In October, we were supposed to collect a manganese sample. We didn't collect it. We were supposed to collect lead and copper samples. That's the more involved one. Some of you in here have helped out with that. Where we have to drop a bottle off at the customer's home, and because it needs to be a first draw sample, we were supposed to do those in Q3, which means we would have had from June to October to make this happen. It did not. We have sampled. With that particular regulation, we were on reduced monitoring. Raleigh was on reduced monitoring, 20 samples. So by not sampling at all and not complying in the quarter it was due, the DEP has now said, now you have to collect 40 samples. So we just collected 40 samples. The other thing is that we will have to repeat this again in 6 months, another 40 samples. So that one will affect the budget because it wasn't budgeted for those additional samples for lab analysis. All of the violations that we have received are what they call a tier 3 violation, which means public notice. And we can do that in the CCR because it's a tier 3. There's no health. We just didn't sample. So that will be in our consumer confidence report, the water quality report that we mail out to everybody, or it's on the website, and we'll report it in that. So part of it is, I think it was just with the treatment plant, having to man the plant, not having the staffing. I've instituted some checks and balances where working with the primary operator to make sure that we have a schedule, that everybody has a schedule, and sampling like on the first Monday of the month, do this monthly samples, and any quarterly samples, just get it done. That way, if you get busy, things just get in the way. Next thing you know, you're into the next quarter, and we're not sampling. So we're working on a scheduling type of thing, and how we to make sure that we don't.
So it's the first Monday of the month?
That's what I have suggested to the primary operator, that he sample the first Monday of the month or the quarter for any samples due. There are some samples, like when we go, the bacteria samples, we collect them the first and third week of each month, but on a Monday, so that as the week progresses, things happen, it's done on the Monday. You're not saying, well, I have to do this, and next thing you know, it's Friday, and well, I can't sample because the lab doesn't take samples on a Friday, and now you just don't do it.
Where do we stand right now, as of today,
with
sampling for the first of the month?
We are on target.
On target,
Mhm.
okay.
Yes. So our next group of samples will be due in January of 2015. It will be Q1 samples that will be due. We have, the schedule is actually already laid out for 2015.
Good.
I had the primary operator do that, and I have a copy.
I got one final question.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, what's the status of the flushing? An issue about the flushing hydrants being in December, et cetera, and I know that part of the problem with the water treatment plant was that they needed to flush the system, which never had been done. Is that moving along according to your schedule, or is it?
Yes, actually, things are going very well with the flushing. We've been out there for 3 weeks. We've responded to several complaints. I've talked with a lot of customers, but the pipes, they really needed it. You have some pictures, I think.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if you have the color picture in your package.
That's it? Yes.
That's what came out of the hydrant. The superintendent
Yeah, that wasn't bad.
forwarded that to me. It's brown water.
I want to thank you for the picture, whoops, there we go. Cancel.
The important thing is it's on schedule to be done, and it should be done barring a horrendous weather.
And Mother
Been
Nature.
any issues with accidents or?
No, Mother Nature's been
breathing or-
cooperating. The temperatures have been, I think, seasonally high for this time, so we are monitoring the temperature. The highway departments will assist us with anything we need, any areas that we need extra sanding or salting. So I've been working with them as well. But we've been able to divert most of the water off into the wood line or the tree line, and there hasn't been any. We've
Matter of
been,
fact, I think tomorrow is at Saunders Lane,
yes,
Green Needle, and I'm not sure, part of Weathersfield? Yeah, part of
yes,
Weathersfield.
we'll be starting Weathersfield.
Okay.
So this,
19th, the last day, right?
yes, so we're on schedule. As far as we were behind, and we caught up, so we're doing really well. And we've been flushing during the day, so that if there are any issues, at least we can see, what's going on. And but the water has been coming out. The pipes are just, the water mains are really, really dirty. So I haven't actually gotten any, knock on wood, complaints so far today. I didn't take any calls for dirty water, but I think we're pushing more of the things are settling down behind the flushing crew, and we're pulling more of that nice clean water from the treatment plant. So it's working really well. I'm actually pleased with the results.
Well, you can really see it with that picture.
Mhm.
I mean,
Excuse me, Bob, did you get that picture with email?
yes.
You think you could email the commissioners pictures like that?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, I don't have everybody's email. I don't have.
No. Oh, boy.
I have Roy's, and I have, that's it, and I have yours.
Okay. So, if you're emailing the chairman and all the selectmen, could you make sure we're on that list, getting some emails too?
I didn't email all the selectmen. I
Oh,
emailed the
email,
town,
I
the
got
town
the email.
administrator, and she forwarded it to the
All right,
selectmen.
okay. So we need to get the information to
Town administrator sent that to me.
Okay.
When is the final of you've been working past 3 weeks, haven't you, on flushing?
Yes.
This weekend would be the end of it?
19th should be the last.
Friday?
We're not flushing on the weekends, just during
No, I mean,
the work
this week would
Yep.
finish?
We were out there
That's
today,
good.
and we're on target. I'm confident we'll
So they'll
finish
be
by.
complete by the weekend? Yeah, it's good. Beat the weather, 'cause
Yes.
no
Superintendent,
storms.
are we going to at some point go back and check the hydrants to make sure they all drained?
Yes, actually, as a result of the program, we found several hydrants that we can't shut off because the gate valves are broken. So that's more of a repair. Several hydrants that just aren't working. I purchased some of the food grade antifreeze and some hydrant pumps. So we'll be following up with that, with pumping out the hydrants and putting in the food grade antifreeze.
Good.
But we're gonna have we're gonna have about, I think we're up to about 7 hydrants that need replacement. And the fire department has been notified that they're out of service. They've either been bagged or tagged out of service as well.
Super.
Yeah. I
Yeah, 'cause
noticed
That's
some
kind of
the
important. If they don't
tags
drain,
push
they get into
don't
trouble.
work.
They'll freeze up.
Right.
I know.
Yeah, we get a lot
don't want
of
that.
old hydrants, some of them Dowlands are put in 48, the system bought.
Yeah.
So, for
Okay.
years, we had this one out here in front.
I've run out of bullets, so I can't shoot anymore.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn the
Okay.
joint meeting.
If there's nothing else to be said, at the conclusion of the joint meeting, chairman calls for a motion to adjourn
I'll second.
the joint meeting by roll call vote. So the
Sure.
motion's been made and seconded.
Robert Snow.
By Robert Murray.
Dave Peterson,
And we're
Hi, Tim Toomey.
thank you for coming in, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow night.
It's my bedtime.
Football.
Thanks, Roy, take care.
See you tomorrow night.
Yep.
Hopefully, get some stuff.
Okay, the next item on the agenda will be new business, item number 2. Request from Marjorie Locke Noonan to change name on Class 2 dealer's license from ARS Motor Cars to Raleigh Gas Exchange, Inc. Marjorie Lock Noonan has submitted a complete renewal and is current on all taxes, water, and light bills. In addition to the renewal, they would like to change their name to Rowley Gas Exchange, Inc. From ARS Motor Cars, see attached letter. Their name is to be updated on their current license and their renewed license. Please make a motion to approve the name change and to sign their 2014 license.
I'll give you the motion, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And the licenses are available or will be available?
They will be.
Will be available, thank you. Item number 3 under new business, Class 2 dealer's license application from Nicholas Natatail at 266 Havel Street. Okay. Nicholas has submitted a completed application and is current on all tax, water, and light bills. Please make a motion to
I'll
approve.
give you the motion.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carried. New business item number 4, letter from Joe Sergi regarding streetlight concerns on Harrison Circle. Joseph Sergi of 56 Harrison Circle has sent a letter to the Board of Selectmen concerning safety issues on Harrison Circle. Debbie has asked Rowley Municipal Light Plant Manager Dan Folding and Police Chief Robert Barker to review and make a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen. Attached are the emails from Dan and Robert. Okay. From the Police Chief, the Police Department will always be in favor of adequate lighting in neighborhoods. It can help with crime prevention and accident reduction. From our perspective, the sooner the lighting is installed, the better, but we realize that funding and availability are very real concerns. I reviewed our activity on Harrison Circle for the past year and found a couple of suspicious activity calls and a vandalism call. There were no vehicle crashes. The street in question is already on the list to have additional lighting installed. I hesitate to make recommendations for prioritizing one area over another without data illustrating a significant public safety concern which isn't really present in this case. I recommend additional lighting for this street, but would leave the timing and logistics to the Rowley Municipal Light Department. Chief Barker. Good morning, Debbie. Harrison Circle was on the list that the selectmen had voted on to add additional street lights. At this point, I am not sure if they will be added next year or the year after, but they are on the list to be added. If the resident has a real safety concern, please let me know. We can move that street to the top of the list for the next year. Thanks, Dan Folding, General Manager, Municipal Light Department. So is there any question or any discussion from the board?
Oh, it sounds like it's on the list, so.
Yeah, it is on the list, and I think if we could, I hate to make the suggestion because I should recuse myself as a
Well, the resident just says that the street's dark when they drive down. It's, I mean, it doesn't sound like it needs to go to the top of the list, but if it's on the list.
Well,
Because what happens is if we start moving them around, then all of a sudden we're gonna get 100 complaints. So
Well, no, I
want
understand.
mine at the top of the
And
list.
I think what the chief had suggested was they would look at it, and it's out 1 up to 2 years or so. I think what Dan is suggesting that he would do the whole street if we thought it was an emergency. I'm wondering if we could request a light.
Yeah, I just, I have no.
I don't know
problem.
how many lights they've decided to install up there, but at least if there's one, it's a start, and it'll help a little bit.
Yeah,
And if
okay,
we could
yeah.
ask them to put the rest on the next year list.
Yeah, my only concern, Bob, is just that, you
Yeah.
know, when you start moving lists around
No,
based
I
based on
understand.
not a real
Right.
serious issue, that all of a sudden everybody wants to be.
And I don't think you can do that, Dave, only because it's a matter of, as somebody had mentioned in one of these letters, either the chief or Dan, is the dollar amount. I mean, the lights have to be ordered.
Right.
So if you start doing whole streets, the budget's not gonna be there for it.
Right, no, for
So
sure.
it's a budgeted thing going out for several years. It's a several-year project. I know the light department line superintendent and the police department rode around town several weeks, looking at various locations where they thought they needed lights and made up a list for it. So, but either way, I mean, we can let this fellow know that we've looked into it and it is gonna get taken care of. We can go from there. So. Okay, we're on to old business at this point. And number one is liquor license renewals. The following licenses have been reviewed and are in order with all taxes, water, and light bills paid. Please make a motion to approve and sign the licenses. Rowley Veterans Association, Inc. Brickett LLC, DBA Bradford Tavern, and that has an asterisk with it. It is due to a crossover in the payment date and interest balance remains for water bills in the amount of $27.57 on one account and $3.89 on the second account for Bradford Tavern and Property. And the third one on here is Rowley Golf Course LLC, DBA Rowley Country Club.
I'll give you a motion, Mr. Chairman, with the stipulation that Brickell
Make their payment.
make their payment and we'll grant the license.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye opposed? Motion carried.
There's 2 more out there, 170. Yeah, there's 2 more.
Okay, item number 2 is Class 2 dealer license renewals. The following licenses have been reviewed and are in order with taxes, water, and light bills paid. Please make a motion to approve and sign the licenses.
Give that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Josephine Bornstein, D&D Auto Sales, and Marjorie Noonan, Rowley Gas Exchange. Motion made.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 3, Class 3 dealer license renewals. Class 3 dealer license renewals. The one renewal has been submitted, but the applicant owes money to the town. So that one's on hold. Old business, auto auction renewals. Auto auction renewals. The one renewal has been submitted, but the applicant owes money to the town. That one's on hold. Old business number 5, stable license renewals. We have not yet received renewal applications from Kathleen St. Pierre Blair, KSB Morgan's, 9039 Peary Avenue, and Richard Biddleson, 100 Weathersfield Street. We have received out of these applicants, and they will hopefully be submitted before the December 22nd, 2014 meeting, which is the last Selectmen's meeting of the year. Alexander Arthurus, Clearview Farm, 331 Weathersfield Street, has not yet submitted a workers' compensation affidavit. Multiple voicemails have been left for her to request this form. I have mailed her a new form today, which hopefully will be completed and submitted before the December 22nd, 2014 meeting. Now, I believe something came in. Did we get
Yes,
the?
Mr. Chairman, as you arrived in the office, you were handed an envelope.
It has the application and
It
the
has
renewal fee.
from Miss Bertelson for 100 Weathersfield Street, so it was an application
Okay.
form, and the renewal fee, so we would just need to check with the treasurer, the water department, and the light department if there were any outstanding charges related to that property.
Okay,
So
and-
we will have that on for next week.
Okay.
So it didn't arrive in time, obviously, to
Right,
get into
and
the
it-
meeting package.
I think one of the problems is the workman's compensation.
That's, sorry,
affidavit.
I'm talking about the second bullet, Richard Bertelson.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yes, the state requires municipalities to obtain workers' compensation affidavits on any licenses and permits that are issued. So we just haven't received that document yet.
Okay,
So we-
that's, hopefully that'll be coming along too. We can do both of them next
So there's
week.
been some outreach to Clearview Farm on that.
Okay. All right, that was stable licenses, so we'll put those on hold. This is number 6, update on the Girl Scout land. Debbie has been working with MIIA in setting up insurance coverage on the property. Debbie and Town Council have been working on the caretaker's agreement. Debbie is asking for the board to approve the draft subject to any other revisions that Town Council may make and to send it to the caretaker for review and signature. Once it is signed, Debbie will have the selectmen sign. So we do have a copy of the draft.
I'll give you a motion to sign this.
Second it.
Actually, I think we want to send it to the
Yeah,
caretaker.
approve it.
Yeah.
Motion to approve the draft.
Yep,
With, subject to any other minor
Right,
revisions, we were just
revisions
trying
Yeah.
to clean it up a little bit.
okay. Any discussion?
Nope.
Motion made,
Second.
second. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And just as a further update on we are on the Girl Scout land itself. The highway surveyor has reviewed the property and is formulating a process to plow the area so that it can be subject to emergency vehicles once the town takes possession. So,
Okay, thank you.
okay. So that's the end of the business. You have announcements. The Marine Corps Reserve Toys for Tots drop-off box located at Town Hall. And it is still there, and I'm not sure when the date will be that they'll remove it, but it's probably gonna be sometime early next week. So if you have anything you wanna bring down for the Toys for Tots, to put in the box, please get there before the end of the week. Flu shots are available to Raleigh residents on Mondays and Wednesdays from 10 to 4 p.m. at the Annex. Contact the Council on Aging or the Health Department for more information. The town has the following vacancies: fence viewer 3 positions, wood, lumber, and bark inspector, and zoning board of appeals associates 2 open seats. Historical Commission, Historic District Commission 3 seats, Parks and Recreation Committee 2 seats. For more information on these positions, please contact the Selectman's Office, 948-2372. And the Raleigh Food Pantry is in need of donations. The food pantry is open Tuesdays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and Thursdays from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. And drop-offs may also be made at the library during library hours. That is the end of the business for tonight.
Would you like a motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman?
Motion to adjourn takes priority.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We are adjourned.